So right now, the market is pretty flat. Nobody wants to talk about it, in obvious sense. You can talk about how volume is low and the search interest is low, and it feels like people have genuinely moved on. And I know this by my own channelytics. I've got a second channel, right? You probably don't know that, but it's outperforming this channel. But here's the thing, right? The boring phase is the best phase. It's where most people quietly accumulate, they're just biding their time, and they're buying at the key levels, and over time, technically, it makes the most money, right? And I know it doesn't look exciting, and I know if you are a cryptocurrency content consumer, you want to get rich quick, you want to watch the altcoin videos, you want to watch the videos that are going to make you the most money. Doesn't really work like that anymore, I'm sorry to say, and burst your little bubble there. As you can imagine, I'm going to say something. If you can survive the boredom and if you can survive the horribleness, you'll probably survive this market and any market. Now, not to blow your bollocks a little bit, but I'm going to talk about this chart here. This is called Bitcoin. You've probably heard of it. And since 2023, it has been really good, right? To a lot of people, this is boring. I don't quite understand this, and we're going to go into a little bit of deep psychology of the brain in a bit. But the reality is here, the sideways ranges often end with some euphoria, but also disbelief before rallies, obviously. Now, every single cycle, let's be honest here, let's talk about it, ends with fireworks. We haven't really had that firework yet in the crypto market, in my personal opinion, not financial advice, of course. But for me, I get comments all the time, it's a bear market. Don't think it is. I don't think it will be, neither. I think we're going to get one last squirt up, but ultimately the boring stage is now. We have had one of the worst Octobers for a long time. Even though we may well close green, it's been awful. We've always talked about how October is usually a really good month, right? And that's the thing, the cycle context is very simple. The market, for me, is catching its breath before we get a run. While I think retail are looking for a new dopamine hit in the stock market, they're looking at the S&P, they're looking at Nvidia, for example, random examples, obviously. But this is the thing. Interest always collapses every single time before there's a big setup, because people get bored of the bloody thing, and that's the problem. And the other problem, let's talk about no one likes to hear this part, but growing small capital, potentially, is slow, it's painful, it's very boring, it's not very glamorous. And also, if you add the word Bitcoin in there, people go, I'm not going to get rich with Bitcoin. Where they look at the obvious in the room of the S&P, and now a lot of people have gone from crypto to the S&P, thinking they're going to make it big. That has a worse growth cargo than Bitcoin. Come on now, give your head a wobble. But that's the thing. We can talk about how a couple $100, a couple of $1,000, whatever, will work. But people skip the entire process and they look for their YouTube videos of, I don't know, whoever, insert YouTuber here, 5 altcoins that are going to make you $100,000 in a matter of 5 seconds. You should buy these altcoins. Alex Becker, for example. That isn't consistency. That is just sheer luck, gambling, and probably insider knowledge because they're getting paid to promote it, and it probably will do well in the short term, but people then get destroyed. Trust me, I've been there before and I've showcased it. The thing is, right, the goal is not to get rich tomorrow. It really isn't, right? Your goal is to learn how to grow, how to protect, and how to repeat the process every single time. I get bored of saying it. And if you're in my Patreon, link below by the way, you will know this from me, and I'm going to be doing a lot of content around that very, very soon. But the bigger process is simple. If you cannot manage $100 or $1,000 or $10,000, good luck trying to manage 100,000 or a million. You're not going to manage it. And the reality is here, money does not make you disciplined. It's the other way around. Discipline earns you money. Get it right. Come on. The funny thing is, right, the smaller your stack is, the more creative you can be, right? You can risk a bit more, you can play a bit more, but without the discipline, you're not going to make any sort of money, let's be honest, because you don't need to move mountains to make money. You just need to move it correctly, right? And yeah, you can turn, I don't know, $100 into $200. Sounds small, right? That's where you're all going wrong, because that is double your money. Do it again, 200 to 400. All right, do it again, 400 to 800. Those jumps do not look flashy on social media, and that's the point. But obviously, yes, that is the ladder that builds well. But no one wants to talk about the end result, how it takes years. And for me, myself included here, I started in 2016. I'm pretty wealthy now, but it's taken a number of cycles, a lot of mistakes and pitfalls along the way. But that's the thing. Where do you learn that patience? You don't. You've got to go through it and then you learn it, obviously. And that's the thing. The boring phase will always earn you the right to have a larger amount later on, because if you're buying the lows, if you're disciplined in holding, if you're able to reaccumulate at the right point, you will become wealthier. And unfortunately, most people miss it. Now, yes, we can talk about the institutions on the screen that keep loading up their Bitcoin every single day. That's fine. They don't need moonshots. They've already got a big amount of money. They could already have made a lot of money with the Bitcoin ETF. For example, a 10% month every month will compound much faster than a lucky trade that will, you've probably lost 12 times already, right? Realistically, that's the honest truth. And that's the thing. When you see the likes of Sailor buying or BlackRock buying, remember, they're playing a very, very different game to us. They're only needing a 5 to 10% move on billions. That's the thing. Your small stack needs patience and precision, not leverage and lottery tickets. That's I shouldn't have to say that, but people do, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, people got blew up with leverage, right? But that's the thing. On the screen here is money. That money is going into Bitcoin. The BlackRock ETF and the Fidelity ETF, Bitwise, ARK, whatever you want to know it as, they've all made lots of money based off small percentage increments. I mentioned it in one of my videos on Patreon yesterday. If we do a 50% move until the end of the year, that is a massive amount of money that has been made in Bitcoin in terms of capital worth that has been bought much, 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 much earlier, like people like me who bought earlier. I know you're not going to make loads of money buying Bitcoin today, but ultimately in 10 years' time, you probably will. That's the reality. Cash is a position, entries are your edge. And it always reverts back to that entry. The profit is in the entry, let's be honest. And if capital means something to you, you should be focusing on getting the right entries and the right exit points and being able to manage your money, even if it is boring. Sorry. And we could talk about the two traps. The two traps are very, very obvious. The comparison traps. You scroll, you see someone X or YouTube with a huge gain, and you feel instantly left behind, but you're always comparing them to someone else essentially, but you're on chapter 2 and they're on chapter 50, right? That's the most obvious way of putting it. But the thing is, most people look at that and think, wow, that's amazing. The reason why I'm doing a dollar cost average challenge on Bitcoin is to prove that you can do it anyways with any amount of capital. That little percentage number is more important than the number gained sometimes. And the other trap is the shortcut trap. Every shortcut ends in the same way. You get cut to bits. Over leveraging, chasing the pumps, whatever it may be, or even holding too long because you're scared that you're going to miss more upside. That's the reality of emotion and also symptoms of impatience, let's be honest. And you cannot be impatient in a financial market. You will lose. This game is about survival, not speed. Even if I take all my profit off the table now, I am up massively. Does it mean I'm going to make more? Probably not for a while, but I could re-enter at a certain point and I could actually gain off it. But at the end of the day, profit is king. So what actually should you be doing right now? Let's talk about this bit. Keep a very, very small watch list, whether it is a couple of altcoins or Bitcoin or whatever. Don't go 40 different altcoins and go ham with it, because you're going to lose massively there as well, because you're not going to have enough risk spread. Going to have not enough butter for the toast. Wait for the obvious structure. If we are consolidating, are we looking at a correct way to enter the market? If you are in a bogging downtrend when BTC pairs are looking like shit, don't buy it, because it's just going to get worse and worse. And that's the brutal honest. And I know people don't like to hear that, but ultimately the altcoin market doesn't look great. Wait until it looks a little bit better. Now, again, we can talk about waiting for it a bit better, but what about dollar cost average? A conviction around a random order at a random point every single time, automated consistently. It doesn't matter what order you get, as long as you are getting those consistency orders in. And also take partial profits, by the way, just saying, even if it is a return of investment at 10%, make some money, for fuck's sake. I mean, how many people don't make money these days? Unbelievable. Get used to banking wins. Don't screenshot the potential. Don't screenshot it to your friends. Take the freaking profit. And more importantly, the thing that people forget, I know cash is trash, but sit in it when you're uncertain. Cash isn't weakness, it's ammunition, whether it's stable currencies or not. Short term, if you are not happy, don't buy into the market. And at the end of the day, right, whether we shoot to the moon or not, it's all about action. It's about discipline. It's about alignment. It's about building your positions over time, not chasing momentum. I see so many people buy the tops. It's unbelievable. Myself included in some points, but bloody hell. Gotta wait. And sometimes, I've said this before and people laughed at me, but sometimes standing still is probably a really good play. But everyone wants a magic indicator. Everyone does, whether it's an RSI, whether it's an EMA, Fibonacci, they're all fine, but without discipline, they're nothing. And even this, right, I'm going to say it. Join my Patreon, because you will join, you will go in and go, wow, this is amazing. And then you'll probably leave after 3 or 4 weeks because there's not much happening. I don't give you spoon-fed shills. I do not promote altcoins. I do not showcase that. I showcase the other side of the coin, which is how to survive, and people don't want that. So yeah, join, but don't leave. Just saying. But the reality is here, right? If you cannot follow the simple rules, whether it is your exit plan, whether it is your entry strategy, whether you've got £50, $500, €1,000, whatever currency you're in, doesn't matter. But you will not make money if you cannot grow the percentage levels, right? On my screen, I have a simple Fibonacci. This has been on my screen for a very long time now. It also has my exit on there for Bitcoin. I've had it on my videos for many months now, and I'm bored of talking about it. But ultimately, that is where I believe it's going to go, and that is through discipline and through a plan. And whether I'm right or wrong is another story, but people don't have a plan. They don't even have discipline. They don't even have any sort of strategy at all. They just buy, follow, and hope that it goes well. And throughout the quiet period, you should be learning. You should be getting good with, journaling your ideas, reviewing what's gone wrong, measure your own emotion triggers, whatever it may be. I don't care. Whether you want to take up freaking meditation or go to the gym more, right? At the end of the day, you will have a better understanding when the market starts to turn again. And that's the reality of it, whether it's going up or down. Bull market, bear market, chaos, you need to understand you can make money in both of those situations. Now, the truth is, even though I showcased the Bitcoin chat before, most people have missed out on that. And that's where they've quit, they've moved on, and they've blown up their accounts because they've went on altcoins with high leverage because they want to get those returns. But most people won't make it through that boring phase anyways, regardless, because they're already bored of it. But the ones who have stayed, and the ones who have stayed, curious essentially, or consistent and calm, and they've understood the game, the ones that are going to walk into any cycle with conviction and hopefully capital because you protected yourself. But trust me, don't quit when it's quiet, because that's utterly pointless. But the one thing I've not kind of mentioned, I kind of have, but the return of investment is the most important metric here. People talk about Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum, right? How much percentage are you happy with? Because I think people forget the bigger picture here. 1 year you can make 10%, second year you can make 50%, you may make a loss the third year, right? What about consistency? The boring phrase is where the next wave of millionaires are probably going to be built, because they've been building over years and years and years. And if you want to know why I keep buying Bitcoin in phases like this, watch this video. It'll help you massively.